So welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing a little book overview slash book haul. So from this past, I want to say around September to November, I've been purchasing a lot of books, as you already know. I think I did a little bit of talking about that in my vlogs in the past. But this past December, it's now January, I did a lot more book shopping and got some gifts, so forth and so on, and I wanted to talk about some of those. So here are the little books we're going to talk about now. There are 5. Some of these are going to be classics in the sense that I read them when I was younger. Some of these are never read before, and a couple of these are currently being read by me. So the first book on my list is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This book was a gift. I got this for my sister this past Christmas. I've recently become a very horrible gift receiver in the sense that I never know what I want. But a really cool thing, I like collecting books. So for me, book keeping is 2 hobbies. It's reading. I read not all the books that I have. I'm slowly working my way through them, but I really enjoy, the other hobby I really enjoy is book collecting. I just really love collecting books, either from the genres that I like or based on the stories that I've heard or the reviews that I've heard of them, or based on the covers itself. I really just like collecting books. Haven't been doing it for that long, but trying to get more into it, and this is one of the books that I actually generally want to read. So I don't know if this is the first one in the whole series. I know it's a part of a series. I just asked for this one in particular because it's the one that I heard the most about. The next book on the list is The Hate You Give. Now, this book is one of the classics for me. This book is one of the ones that I read when I was younger, specifically when I was in, I want to say I was in 10th grade. Yeah, I was in 10th grade. My history teacher, not my history teacher, my English teacher, was very progressive in the amount of books she wanted us to read, in the sense, not the amount of books, said that wrong, but in the types of books she wants us to read. She really wanted us to think outside of school and just look more into the world. And so this was one of the first ones that we read. And before this, I really wasn't a big reader. Barely read any of the books that I had to for assignments. Just wasn't really a big reader, right? But the books that she had in this class, when I tell you I was reading outside of class, during my extra time in between classes, or free time in classes, or even at home, was crazy. Never did that before, but I was doing it for this book. So all the books that I read in that class that year, I finished before the class was finishing them, right? So this is one of the books, loved it, it was amazing. Haven't seen the movie, don't think I'm actually going to see the movie, but I really loved this book. It was just a big eye-opener and very informative. The next book on our list is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. So this is less of a book and more of just like a story telling thing. It's very thin. It's the story of Sleepy Hollow. I really got into wanting to know more about the story of Sleepy Hollow, specifically this last fall, this last Halloween season. Because I've been hearing so much about it. If you remember one of my Halloween hauls and my Halloween shopping with me videos this past year, I even bought like one of the pillows that had, for Michael's, that had like a little bit of the legend upon it of Sleepy Hollow. And so I really just wanted to, dig into it, like learn a little bit more about it, read the full story, and get the origin for it. And this is such an American classic, and this is one of America, like pre-colonialism, ooh, they're struggling, pre-colonialism, um, like stories, like mythology stories or folklore stories, right? So this was such like a key thing that I feel like as an American who loves Halloween, this is one thing that I really should know, right? Now, I have a thing with old-timey books. By old-timey books, any books that are classics and or speak like they're classics, which means the wording sounds olden day and Shakespeare-y in a sense. I have a hard time with that. Mainly because my attention span for stuff like that is very short, because as soon as I get confused too much, my brain is like out the window, gotta find something else, right? Specifically when it just comes to reading, though. It's really weird. Um, but this book was definitely a challenge. It was a challenge. Some parts had to be reread. And it was mostly the names for me. This book had like a lot of unique names. Had a lot of unique names. But so far I'm not hating the story. It's pretty good. But it's just not sticking out to me as much. I've been annotating, as you can see. That's one of my things. I wanted to annotate this book. But I will tell you, I've took a pause from it. Like, I bought it, the first week I bought it, I read like a couple pages of it. wasn't really feeling it that much. I'm not hating the story thus far, but I'm just like, eh. So I'm probably gonna go back to it. Obviously, try to finish it. It's very short. Um, and if I'm struggling with it too much, I'm just gonna audio read it. But thus far, I don't hate the story. It's just not as engaging as I thought it was gonna be. Song of Achilles. This book right here. This book right here. So this is one of my big books that really got me back into reading post high school. No, pre high school actually. I forgot. Oh my gosh, my brain. This got me back into reading after high school. I bought this book semi recently. Recently, as in like the last 2 years. But it is so good. I'm not done with it yet. I think I have anywhere between 5 to 6 chapters left, which, granted, this book has like 20 something chapters, I think. So that's saying a lot. I'm majorly This book has been like a hybrid read for me. It's been hybrid. I read some chapters in full. I read some chapters audio. I read some chapters half audio, half in full. So I've just been flipping back and forth with that. So this has been like a hybrid read for me. And I've really been appreciating that, because if it wasn't, this book would have been postponed to reading very long ago. But this is such a good book. I'm really loving it. Now, it is one of those books that the wording and the way it's talked sometimes, and some of the phrases and words that are said, gets very Old English or Old English-esque. And it's irritating me a little bit. Because I'm just like, what did that person just say? Why did they say it like that? Like, that's what goes on in my brain. I pay more attention to how they said it and why they chose those words rather than what they said. Sometimes I have to do a couple of rereads of certain paragraphs and lines to really get a full grasp of it. But other than that, it is an amazing book. This book so far has a 10 out of 10 for me. Now, the ending, I feel like it's going to ruin the book for me. I don't know. We're just leading to a point that I'm not happy about right now, because I love the characters so much and I just really want them to be together and happy. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But at least I'm getting exposed to that from the beginning of the ending. So I feel like I'm gonna be okay if that's what the ending is. But it's taken a lot. But this book is really good. If you haven't read it, it's definitely a read. This was recommended all over like Book Talk and YouTube. But it's definitely a read. It's making me want to get her Circe's book. I believe that's how you say that one. But I need to finish this first. Before I buy any of her other books, I need to finish this. I need to finish this one first, which we're almost there. We're almost there. The next book on our list, I'm barely going to be able to pronounce, so we're just going to say the bottom part, which is a composition of monsters, myths, and legends. It is the Beavertons, Phantasmagoria. I think I said that right, or pretty well. Basically, it's a book that has a compilation of different monsters and myths and legends. It goes into brief slash, depending on the creature, greater details in it of where it originated from, the overall arcing story and mythos behind it. So that's the vibe I got from it thus far. I haven't read it yet, but this book was meant to be a source material for a project that I was working on, a little mini project, writing project I was working on, and I wanted to create I want to use mythical creatures. If you don't, one thing you should know about me is I really love creatures films. Like when it comes to movies and TV shows or even comics, I really love to see a good creature. I don't know what it is about it. I love to see that. So hence to say, when I work on something or when I'm doing something for fun, I really want to implement something of fantasy, creature, realistic isk about it, right? So I bought this book as a source material to help not just like learn more about certain mythos and mythologies like werewolves and vampires and so forth and so on, but to look up some of their characteristics, some of their knowledge, some of their things, and kind of create something new out of that. Because I also want to create new creatures, or create new creatures inspired by old creatures, I should say. Just to freshen some legends and myths up, right? So this book was a great source for that. There's a ton of other books, not specifically by this author, not by Terry Beaverton. I hope I'm saying his name right. But by other artists and by other books. He does have one more book in particular that I'm interested in. It's basically a aquatic version of this book. But yeah, so far I love it. The illustrations in it are very pretty. Haven't read anything yet, but it's a very beautiful book. It's a very, very, very beautiful book. That's the end of this video. Those were the 5 books that I've been mostly into recently, that I've either recently purchased, recently received, or have been reading. Currently, again, like I said, I am reading The Song of Achilles. That's the current book that I'm actually actively trying to finish. After that will be The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Then I'm probably going to target A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, possibly. That's not a guarantee. I have a ton of other books, including graphic novels and comics, that I need to get into, and I really want to do like a bigger, actual, more in-depth book haul. This is kind of like just popped in my mind. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna quickly film this. So I didn't do all the books that I have, but I do have a nice amount of new books and other books that I don't have, and I have stuff that's on the way that's been pre-ordered. So that's that. So this video is very quick. More about The Hate U Give. This is one of the very few books that we read in the class. I'm went on a big shopping spree recently of just buying all the books that I have already read that have really resonated with the young me, in one way or another. Either it got me into reading, I love the story, I love the message that it has behind it, so forth and so on. The Hate U Give was more of like, it got me into reading a lot more. One of the many books that did that, and it was very big on the message. But there's a ton of other books. I'm not going to say one of them off my head right now because I can't remember the actual phrasing of it and I don't want to mess it up. But another one is like The Kite Runner. A lot of the books we did read were very big topics and very heavy topics, I should say. So if you do choose to read any of the books that I'm going to be talking about in the future, or specifically these 2 books, The Kite Runner and the Hate U Give, please understand they're pretty heavy topics. Reader discretion advised. Yeah, but other than that, that was this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Like this, subscribe, all the stuff. Leave a comment if these are any books that you have ever read before and really enjoy. Tell me, especially if you read The Song of Achilles, because I want to know your opinions on it. Don't spoil it for me. Like, I have like a couple chapters left, but you know, what's your opinion on the book? What's your opinion on the book? The next week video is probably gonna be a vlog. I've been I have a lot of pre-recorded footage, and I've been editing slowly over my break. So you will get a vlog next week, and probably a vlog after that as well. But yeah, thank you for watching. Bye bye.